Today, we are reacting to Linkin Park's newly released song, Massive. Let's get right into it. It's an interesting line. The worst of me will give my best today. It's like I'm not feeling good. I'm not at my best. I actually feel like I'm at my worst, but I'm still going to give it my all despite being where I feel like I am.
Yeah, this music is interesting. The vocal track is really quiet.
Yeah, I feel like it needed
done.
to be mixed a little different. Yeah, it's hard to make out the vocal track over the really powerful drums and the guitar line.
Yeah, and maybe that's intentional. Like they want to have that a little more subdued. Like it's trying to give like an introspective kind of feel to it. But you really have to listen for the vocal track, which it's cool. And I like the sound of this song. Like I would play this, you know.
Yes. So far, it's been something that I would like to play as like background music, something going on.
Yeah.
Nothing that's like distracting at all. Because if you weren't trying to make out the vocal track, you really aren't going to make out the vocal track.
Right. Which is kind of nice if you're studying or something and you don't want to be distracted by that.
Yeah.
But no, I want to hear it more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. It might take us a couple listens to actually get the message on this one, just because it takes so much focus to get the vocal track to understand what Chester is singing.
Yeah. I really like this in a song where you mix up the tempo like that. You mix up the feel, you know? You're kind of getting that steady thing, and then it slows down and quiets down.
Yeah.
And it makes it more than just elevator music, right? When you have something like that, because it pulls you in a way that, and it stops you, and it makes you feel through the music. And I think that's something Linkin Park's really good at, and I like that about them. I feel like it was around this time. So Linkin Park, of course, everybody came into it at Hybrid Theory. I guess some of the newer people probably came in some of the later albums. But when Linkin Park really made its first big splash on the main scene, it was Hybrid Theory, and that's what people are familiar with.
Yes.
And as they've developed over time, they've developed musically, right? They've improved in their skills. They've improved in the way they mix things. Their tone, their pitch, like all the things that make it musical has like developed, and you can feel that as you go from like Hybrid Theory into Meteora and beyond.
Yeah.
And Meteora is really kind of that tipping point. I mean, Hybrid Theory was like boom, like everybody knows who Linkin Park is now.
Yes.
But then Meteora was their chance to like take it to the next level, and then springboard from there. Does that make sense? And so you start to see
really
that,
establish their musical style as artists.
right? And you start to notice that here in their musical development. Like you start to notice these dynamic shifts and these tempo shifts, and the play between these like steady sections that are like very like da 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 da, and you can feel that like, all right, here's this very steady. Now here we slow it down, and then they come in just like da 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 da, and they're able to mix those together in a way that doesn't startle you. Doesn't startle you so much that you're like, huh?
Whoa, that was different.
Right.
Yeah.
But it mixes it up enough that you feel like, okay, there's more to this song than just this one way of presenting it.
Yeah.
And I like that, and it shows their musical development a lot there.
Yeah.
And I think that they've only done more with that as they've gone on, and you see that with later songs.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't. Like, I almost feel like Meteora was a really nice mix, because they're still very experimental here.
Yeah.
And some people have argued like that they think they got a little less experimental as they went on and tried to stick more formulaic, But, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it's maybe song by song. But here I do like that you have this experimental feel with the musical development at the same time. And so I wouldn't say it's where they peaked, but I would say it's definitely a noticeable point in their musical journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the Meteor album. One of my favorite albums of all time. I think I actually prefer it over Hybrid Theory quite a bit. I like Hybrid Theory. I like a couple of the songs on Hybrid Theory. I mean, everyone knows in the end that is to this day the biggest Linkin Park song. But Meteor was my favorite. Having said that, I don't think this was my favorite song. Mm-hmm. And I think this one makes sense to me why it didn't quite make it onto the album.
Sure.
It felt less lyrically impactful. Mm-hmm. And it didn't feel like it quite had all the emotion that they like to have in their songs.
I would agree with that for sure. I think that it's emblematic of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have that punch that a lot of their songs have. That's like Linkin Park is known for that punch, right? You have these clear, stark lines from Mike, and then you have Chester come in with these just smooth but blasting lines, right? And then when they combine those together, it's just like a different thing altogether, which is really cool. But you don't have that here. This is just a very mellow song, played through
just Chester on the chorus
and
fairly simple lines, screaming in his dreams, waking up and being like grateful that he's like in this state of grace. But you can almost feel a bit of pain that like, I'm sad that I have to sit in this state of grace and I'm not earning it on my own. You get that kind of feel, but it's very simple that way, and it's just a chorus repeated a few times with a fairly repetitive music line. But it's good. It's not a bad song, but I can understand why it didn't make it onto the album.
Right. I don't see it as like this is like a standout, like, whoa, I'm wowed, and I'm just blown away here.
Yeah. Like the last two releases from this Meteor album, Lost and Fighting Myself, were both very good. And I think they've gone in order of like, Lost was the best of the three, because that Mike has said in interviews, that's the one song that just barely didn't make it on the album.
Right.
And then there kind of sounds like they're releasing music videos in order of like, okay, we had like 14 songs we could choose. Here was the 15th song. Right. Now here was the 16th. Now here was the 17th. And kind of like which songs made it and which ones didn't.
And I don't know that I would say it's like not as good. Maybe like if I was talking my personal preferences, maybe I would be like, that's not as good as the other one. But I think it's less showy in its sound.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I can agree with that.
It's less punchy. It's almost like a lo-fi. You know what I mean?
It is, yeah. It's like something you could play in the background quite effectively, which I don't think. I think they came to the decision that they didn't need that on the album.
Right. Yeah. So, anyways, it's kind of a different feel. Almost feels like a little bit of their later stuff, but not quite. So I don't know. It's a cool mix, and
I think part of why I really liked Lost compared to the other two is I think there was a bias built in there that I wasn't expecting to hear Chester.
Yeah.
And when I did, I was taken way aback.
Right.
I really liked that music video, and these last two music videos have been AI generated. Kind of like, I assume what they did is they had it generate an image. This one's a cathedral, right? A cathedral with stained glass windows.
Right.
And then they would zoom in the image a little bit and send it through the remix that you can do, and then take the remixed version and zoom that in a little bit and remix it again and just kind of rinse and repeat that several thousand times and put them all together into a music video. And that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not my favorite style of doing a music video. I don't think it's my favorite. But having said that, there's only so much you can do when your lead singer's been gone for over 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it's been quite a few now.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a cool song. If you liked this reaction or you want to see more reactions to Linkin Park, check out these other ones because we did some other ones. And
go check out Lost.
Lost was
We'll
good.
put that right there.
Lost was nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
check
put
out
Lost
Lost. It's good.